Hey everyone, and welcome back to my next Create Above and Beyond episode. Let's jump into it. So today I decided that we're going to take a little bit of a break of jumping through all the chapters, and we're going to really work on getting like an automated ore processing system up and running that should be the best in the game, hypothetically, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and jump into what that's going to look like. So I figured the best way to go about this would be to cover each row and just be like, this is what we're going to do, and then build it, and then so on. So we're going to start with Fortune, which I thought Fortune was going to be easy as just like, hey, set up an enchanting area. But if we look at the Fortune books, you can already tell that they look different. And if you click on how to make one, you're going to see that you would need Hephaestus smithing. Now, I'm hoping that we don't have to do this. We're going to start enchanting some things and seeing if I can get Fortune 3 from it. But this makes me nervous that if we wanted a book like this, this isn't found anywhere. You would need to go into the Forbidden and Arcanist mod to figure that out. So let's start enchanting some things first and see if we have a chance at Fortune. All right, this makes me feel better because it does kind of look like this is normal enchantments. So we got an efficiency 3, not what we wanted, but we're probably just going to keep disenchanting, enchanting, so on, until we get a chance at Fortune 3, which, yeah, we're starting to get normal Minecraft enchants, so I'm not too worried. All right, we have finally got it. And special shout out to the Create Discord people, because for a while I didn't even think Fortune was in this game. So thank you for them clarifying that. So now that we're able to fortune ores, we have a couple different options here, and I have a feeling someone else will make a video or someone else will let me know in my Discord or comments that they have a whole different way that might be a slightly better way. But I just want to clarify one quick thing. So if you're looking at the ratios of this next level, you're going to see the first one, and it says 1 to 9 through 27, which sounds fantastic. But then you look at the other ones, it's 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 3 through 6, and 1 to 6. So these all seem drastically low compared to induction smelting. But something that you have to realize is that this is taking a crushed variant of the ore, and it's going into induction smelting, and then that's going directly to nuggets. So this is making one crushed ore to 9 to 27 nuggets. So that's one ore to roughly 3 ingots. Now, there are some caveats behind that because this deals with inductive smelting that isn't a guarantee from my understanding. And I'm not a professional on induction smelting. But if you use sand and put crushed gold ore in here, you can get guaranteed 9 nuggets. You get some cinnabar and you get some rich slag. And with these items, you're able to get some bonuses depending on how you set up your system and things like that. But they're all percentages. So this isn't a guarantee necessarily to the 3 ingots. And you're only really guaranteed 1. And my other system gives about the same amount of odds, which is what I'm going to show you. And in my opinion, a little bit higher of a percentage. But if you disagree with me, feel free to go ahead and make a system. Go ahead and put it in my Discord, and maybe I'll update it in the next episode. So what we're going to go through is we're not going to use general furnace melting. We're not going to use a millstone, but we're left with crushing and we're left with pulverizing, which is a pretty easy win to be pulverizing because crushing takes 1 crushed ore and give us the chance of getting 3 or to 6, and pulverizing is a guaranteed 6. So that's what we're going to go to. All right, so we've set up that part of the system. We have a chest that's going to go ahead and output via some andesite funnels, placed onto a belt, placed into a pulverizer, and that should place our ores in here. And then we need a power source. We need RF power. So I'm just using a Stirling dynamo, which we could just throw like wood, coal, anything that's a fuel into here, and it will create some power. I'm sure if you made like a log farm or something, you can automate that Stirling dynamo. But for us, I'm okay with just like an off switch. By this running out, it'll stop our machine, and then we're not constantly making wood when we don't really need this to run 24/7. So if we're going to go ahead and throw some ores in here, I'll throw like a stack of coal in here, and it will run for a plenty amount of time. So our next step is going to get a little interesting because now that we're creating a whole bunch of different types of dust and things like that, we have a couple different options. One is that we can wash, because if we wash our dust, it will just turn right into nuggets. So that gives us a 1 to 2 ratio. So we're kind of doubling our dusts. Smelting it is a 1 to 1, so kind of worthless. We're able to melt it, which is a 1 to 3. Do foundry melting, which is also a 1 to 3, and we can do a superheated mixer to do 1 to 6. Now, this is where I'm going to disagree a little bit in the sense that I don't want to automate a superheated mixer. I think that's overkill at the moment for what we're trying to accomplish. So we're not going to go about that. I'm sure later towards the end of this mod pack, once we have some more late game materials, that automating things like blaze cakes and things like that will be a lot more easier. And I think it's just not worth it to do that. So we're going to go with melting, foundry melting, something along those lines, so that we can actually cast our ingots. All right, I think we got this working. So let me run us through what's going on. So essentially I have this brass funnel set against this pulverizer because I think I'm gonna have to set a filter to it, or it's just gonna start pulling out the ores before it's processed, but we'll do some testing as the machine starts running. And then I've just stuck a brass funnel to a foundry that we have created here. Now, I'll go over a gist on how the Foundry is built. I'm also going to link a video in the description. The video only, I think, has like 1,000 views, but he basically went over the difference between a Smeltery and a Foundry because I couldn't find anything online that like explained the difference, and it seemed the same to me. But there are some benefits that I'm going to go over in a second. The way that you could go ahead and create one of these is just like a Smeltery. The only difference is it has to be a rectangle and you need to have corners. So you can see I have corners here, and the bottom can't be glass. I think that's the same as a Smeltery. But basically, you go ahead and create a rectangle, fill it with any of these types of scorched blocks. So glass, bricks. This is a scorched ladder, so it allows you to kind of climb up to the top if you want to expand it later on. You can use that as well. And then you also need a Foundry controller, and you need some type of fuel source. So I'm just using a scorched fuel tank that we can place some lava in to go ahead and power our Foundry. And then you could right click on it and it will tell you how many ingots are the capacity. You can see we have 1,120 ingots, a lot more than the Smeltery, which is really nice. And a huge benefit to the Foundry is that there is no alloying. So if we go ahead and throw like iron and gold in there, I don't even know if that makes an alloy, it won't go ahead and mix. It will stay separated, and we can use that to our advantage for when we want to go ahead and output these guys as ingots. So now that we got this up and running, we have to look at how we want to output this as ingots, basically what I just said. So we've now turned it into a liquid in nuggets/ingots, and the best way to go ahead and pull it out is ingot casting. So let's go ahead and show you guys how to do that. All right, and now to export these ores, we have it all set up. So essentially, I did realize I forgot something in the previous step. Right here, we need a scorched drain that will allow us to put a scorched faucet on the side, and will allow it to actually export the ingots out of, or I guess the liquid into ingots out of this faucet. Now that gets placed into a seared casting table, and then there's an ingot gold cast in there. Now, if you don't know how to make an ingot gold cast, I've actually made one in, I think, like the first episode or second episode. But essentially, you would have a seared casting table. You would place a iron ingot inside here, and then just pour gold out, and it will go ahead and make an ingot gold cast. It will delete the iron ingot, but it will make an ingot gold cast. And you could just leave that in there. Now, we have a lever that is turned on above this seared faucet. That will make it so it's automatically going to pour as soon as there's an ingot, and then pour that down into this seared casting table. It takes about like 2 seconds, then it turns into an ingot, and then we have a hopper that is connected to a chest below that then will just pull out that ingot once it's been processed and place it into the chest. So now all we have to do is literally just power the system. All right, so system's been powered, just a single water wheel that we've attached to our belts. You could probably do, honestly, probably almost any other power source because it's just belts that are being powered. And we have some coal, we have some crushed variants. So I'm going to put the coal into here first, so it'll start powering up our pulverizer here. We're going to throw into our crushed variants here. They should go into our pulverizer, and then they should start pulverizing, and then hopefully this brass funnel will actually pull these items out. So we'll just have to go ahead and see. There we go. And it actually pulls out. So we could actually change this to an andesite funnel. Now we have our dust going into here. And theoretically, our brass funnel... Ooh, it looks like it doesn't want to do this. Let's see if we could fool around with the system then. There we go. Perfect. All I did was take our Foundry controller, and I moved it from here and placed it here with the brass funnel against it. And you can see now it's turning into liquids. Let's see if I can click on this. So you're going to see that it's actually making ingots and nuggets, but none of this is combining together, which is what we want because we don't want this to start turning to alloys. And then over here, theoretically, there we go. Perfect. We just had to flick our lever one more time. And you're going to see it's going to start pouring ingots out, placing them into our chest automatically. And I just want to make sure that this works even when this thing becomes empty. We might have to make like a redstone clock possibly. So it looks like one issue we might have run into is if we don't have a full ingot, it's still going to try to go ahead and pull it out. So we're gonna have to work around that because we don't want it to error out in this scenario. All right, so we have done a lot of different changes to our foundry here because we wanted to go ahead and allow the ability to process a bunch of different types of ores. And I've actually put in every single crushed variant that is inside of our inside of the mod pack. However, there are some that I don't think you can just get from mining because I've never found them. So that is like silver, aluminum, and tin. So those should not appear in the system, but I've built them in here just in case I do find them in the future or I'm wrong on that statement. Then I can go ahead and add them in here. But what we've done is we've changed these to scorched ducks, and that allows us to take a copper can with a liquid inside of it of 1 ingot, and that sets it as a filter. And that makes it so we can actually filter out our ingots and pulling out of our system. So what we've done here is we just have a bunch of casting tables. I've put some signs just to help out of what's going on for you guys. And then we have our seared faucets attached to our scorched ducts that have our filters. And then we have some levers activated. So as soon as the liquid is inside of the system, it will output and be placed right onto our casting table. Besides, of course, the ones that I've flicked off because they shouldn't appear in the system. Now, there is something else that I have forgotten, and that is that certain ores, when you put them inside of a foundry, it gives you a chance of creating like an extra ore or something that you didn't throw in the system. So you might throw like iron, copper, and gold inside of the system, and all of a sudden like lead makes an appearance or something like that that you didn't mean to, but it actually is just a byproduct. Works well for us because that's bonus ores that maybe we need at that time and we just didn't find or something along those lines. But it's worth noting that that is something that can make an appearance in the system, so you kind of have to adjust for it. So that's why I've built all of the different variants to go ahead and pull out of the system. So now that we've done all this, let's go ahead and throw some crushed ores in here, and we'll go ahead and let it process. So you're going to see they're pulling out. They're going into our pulverizer. They're going to go ahead and slowly pulverize into our dust. There we go. You're going to see it turned right to dust. It's now exporting out of this brass one, which we can actually adjust that. I didn't mean to set it so it only pulls out 1. And now that's slowly going to be placed into our foundry right here, which if we can click on it, there we go. We're going to see that we're getting nickel, we have iron in here, and a bunch of different odds and ends. Now, as soon as it turns to liquids, it should be outputting somewhere in here. Looks like we might just have to flick these levers one more time just to start the system back up. Yep, there we go. So we'll flick all of these guys just to make it start. We're going to see it turns to iron because it's set to an iron filter. And then it's going to be sent underneath hoppers all the way into our chest down here, which we'll just reflick these guys just in case we run into it. Yeah, just like that for nickel. And now they're all set and good to go to actually go ahead and pull out of our system. And we can see we have copper going through here as well. So I'll just prove one more time that our system's still working with our copper going into an empty foundry. And that should go ahead and process for us. There you go. You can see it made 8 copper. That's going to go ahead and be placed into our system. And in just a second, it should be actually placed out onto this seared table. So we'll wait for it to turn to a liquid. There we go. Turn to a liquid. And then if we go over here, you're going to see it is outputting as copper. Looks like we actually got some gold as well from our system, which is pretty cool. And then we got more inside of our chest. There we go. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a really fast video, but I will be totally honest with you guys. I think we're about 3 hours into recording of this episode. It has been a very long learning experience because I've not used about any of these mods besides Create. So I'm sure there's going to be improvements to the system. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in Discord. I hope you guys are all having a great day, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.